Welcome to It's Good to Be Smart. I'm your host, Dr. Dave Mulder. I love to learn new things, and I hope you do too, because it's good to be smart. In this episode, we're heading into a garden. But not just any garden. This one holds the secrets of heredity, the science of how characteristics get passed down from parents to offspring. Today's story is about a man whose curiosity sprouted into one of the most important scientific discoveries of all time. Let's meet Gregor Mendel, the gardener geneticist. You might not expect groundbreaking science to come from a quiet monastery tucked away in what is now the Czech Republic. But that's exactly where Mendel lived in the 1800s. Gregor Mendel was a monk, a man who dedicated his life to prayer, study, and religious work. Monks separated themselves from the rest of society into special places called monasteries that were communities that supported themselves, which meant that the monks didn't just spend time in prayer. Monks followed a daily rhythm that balanced their spiritual lives with tasks that helped their community. So some monks taught lessons, some copied books, some cooked and cleaned and took care of the monastery, and others, like Mendel, worked in the monastery garden to produce the food that all the members of the community would eat. Now, this wasn't just any old vegetable patch. Mendel's garden was full of pea plants. Yes, peas, the kind you might eat with dinner. His job was to grow and care for them so the monastery could have food. But Mendel didn't just plant and harvest. He noticed things, patterns, and questions started blooming in his mind. Why did some plants have purple flowers and others white? Why were some peas round and others wrinkled? What determined these differences? Mendel wanted answers. So, like a true scientist, he began to design experiments. Here's where it gets really cool. Mendel didn't just look at the plants and guess. He followed a careful process and kept track of what he noticed. He chose pea plants because they had clear contrasting traits, like tall plants versus short plants, or green peas versus yellow peas. He controlled how they reproduced, carefully pollinating them by hand to cross specific traits. And this is huge. He kept incredibly detailed notes. He counted hundreds, even thousands of peas, over and over, year after year. Why? Because data matters. Science isn't just about cool ideas, it's about evidence. Mendel eventually discovered that traits are passed on from one generation to the next in predictable patterns. And from this, he developed what we now call Mendel's laws of heredity. The first is the law of segregation, which means each plant has two factors, what we now call genes, for each trait, and only one factor is passed on to the offspring. The second law is the law of independent assortment, which means traits are inherited independently of one another, like how flower color and pea shape don't really influence each other. These might sound like obvious ideas now, but back then, they were revolutionary. But here's the wild part. When Mendel shared his findings in 1866, nobody paid attention. His work was basically ignored. Scientists at the time didn't understand how important his careful experiments were, and the idea of genes hadn't been discovered yet. So, was Mendel wrong? Nope. He was just ahead of his time. Fast forward about 35 years. In the early 1900s, scientists studying plants and animals started noticing patterns in how traits were inherited, patterns that matched exactly what Mendel had described. His work was rediscovered, and suddenly everyone realized the monk in a garden had figured out the basic rules of genetics before anybody even knew what DNA was. Today, geneticists still build on Mendel's work. Thanks to him, we understand how traits are passed down, how mutations happen, and how organisms change over time. His legacy is in every biology textbook, every genetics lab, every DNA test you've ever seen on a detective show. And it all started in a garden. Mendel's story reminds us that science is a process. It takes time. It requires careful observation, lots of questions, detailed records, and a mind that doesn't give up just because other people aren't paying attention right away. His work wasn't flashy. He wasn't trying to become famous. He was just curious. He paid attention. He asked questions, and he trusted what the evidence told him, even when the rest of the world didn't get it yet. So the next time you walk past a garden or scoop up a spoonful of peas, think of Gregor Mendel, the gardener geneticist whose quiet work changed the way we understand life itself. Thanks for joining me for this episode, and nice work leveling up your brain power today. Remember, smart isn't something you are, it's something we become as we're learning. So keep listening, keep learning, and keep getting smarter every day. It's Good to Be Smart is created and produced by me, Dr. Dave Mulder, with the support of the National Science Foundation through the Robert Noyce Teacher Scholarship Program. Subscribe to this feed so you'll never miss an episode, and check out our home on the web, goodtobesmart.com. Until next time, keep asking questions, stay curious, and keep learning, because it's good to be smart.